Okay, so in this drawing, we're practicing drawing figurehead. You guys have practiced how to do relationships. When we did still lives, you practiced how to measure proportions, like when we did the hand and the face. Now we kind of put everything together. We're going to do measuring and relationships, how one object relates to another. So the main measuring thing that we're going to use is the head. So this is a square reference photo. This is a rectangle piece of paper. So if we take this and we cut off the bottom, we cut off the top, now we have a square. Well, almost a square. We make our center line going down the center. Make our line going across the middle here. Is that about right? Yep, those are pretty close. So I put the lines on this photo so you can see where things are going to go. We're going after where these joints land. Once we figure out where the joints land and the shoulder and things like that, we can determine where this contour line is going to lie. So we try to create the contour line. But first we're going to measure out this head. How big is this head in relationship to our little diagram here? So this head's pretty big. She's a seated figure. So she's like 1¼ heads up from here. So if we do, so if we do a head here, so this head is 1¼ heads up from this line. So now we know how tall this head is. This head is also tilted. So if we put a center axis, oh, that's too much. Let's change that. Okay, it's probably not that tilted. So if we put a line down the center axis, so this line is a little bit too tilted. I'm going to take this away just so you don't get distracted. Okay, of the head. We know the ear is right behind the center axis. And so the front of the face is going to be here. And the eyes here. And we divide the eye. So we have our thirds. Pretty close. Eyes in the center. Ear is going to be somewhere back here. Back the head's back here. Right? She's got that little bun thing going on. So now we have how big the head's going to be, how big the face is. We could do detail in the face, and stuff now, but I wouldn't worry about that. We're just blocking things out. We're trying to get where the joints are going to be. So let's say the shoulder joint. It's right down behind that ear. So if we know the ear is here, we know the shoulder joint will be down here. How far down? Well, let's measure the head. Ooh, it's about a head high. So if the head is this tall, the shoulder joint should be right about here. I'm guessing. Below the ear and about a head or a face tall. Right there. So it's about a face tall, right? Face that way. So we know where that shoulder joint's going to be. Where's this elbow? So it's just above this line. It's, okay, if we measure the head again, it's about a head and a quarter distance. So if I measure the head, it's about a head and a quarter distance. So I'm thinking, yeah, I've got this pretty close right here. So the elbow is going to be somewhere in here. So the width of that arm, I need to make sure that arm is wide enough. So the elbow's here. And then this knee is equal distance from here, to But if I know the distance from here to here, wow, look at this. I know the distance from here to here. It's a little bit shorter. It looks like we have some foreshortening. So the distance from here to here is a little bit shorter than this. So the wrist is going to be like right here. And it tilts down, which is kind of funny. Right? A little bit. No, I'm getting a lot of lines in here. Okay, don't want to distract you with too many lines. Okay, so we know where this knee is. So we need to determine where is, let's go for this ankle. How far down is this ankle? So if we measure it in relationship to, okay, so it's about as tall as from the eye to here is the distance of the ankle, somewhere here. Right? So the ankle is somewhere here. And I'm guessing, I'm just guessing. How big are those feet? If this is the ankle here, how big is the feet? So if this is the back of the heel, how big is that foot? Woo! It's as big as that head. So this foot is as big as the head. So the foot is going to be down here. That's how big that foot is. So if I know the distance from the knee to the ankle, I know the distance from, should be, to this hip. So the knee to the ankle is the same, so this hip is somewhere in here. Somewhere in here. And her butt kind of curves around, and her, so I want to try to get the curve of this. I can look at the relationship to how this curves in relationship to the negative space of the square here. So it's going to be something like that. So I know where this is going to be. I have some, parts I can start. So I can start working on contour lines. How wide is this arm going to be here? And then it's going to curve. Well, this knee and this arm intersect, but it looks like this knee kind of sticks into that arm, so that changes the contour line here. And she's got this little old person muscle right here that kind of hangs. It's a little bit of flab. When you get over 40, you start developing that little flab there, and her dress goes around kind of like that around her shoulder, and it curves down this way. Right? Do I have that right? And this goes like that. Right? So I have this arm, this arm. Oh, we didn't do the hands. Okay, so the hands are as big as the face, right? Ooh, yeah. It's as big as the face. So I'm just going to block those hands out. This hand, this hand. So I'm just blocking the hand out, right? I'm seeing how narrow this is. The thumb goes behind this one. So I'm just blocking. Where is, so this hand, so I'm just blocking these hands up. She's got how many fingers here? Oh wow. Okay, kind of see them all here. So I'm just trying to block out some of these fingers. And it doesn't look like much, it doesn't have to. You're just indicating where these fingers are going to go, right? In this hand. There, okay, so that gives me a feeling for where, well, this hand needs a lot more work, but a lot of that's just shadows, trying to get the shadows right and stuff. and then this wrist goes behind to that elbow. Okay, so this knee, I can look at the negative space here. Ooh, and I see 2 feet. Oh, I only drew 1 foot here. Okay, now we have 2 feet. So the ankle is somewhere here, this ankle is somewhere here. So I want to emphasize these joints, right? Emphasize these joints. Where is this curve? It starts from right behind this center line here, that way. And this butt kind of hangs up here. And she's got this skirt thing going on. And so we can, you know, put that skirt in there, because that's a big part of this drawing, is how the skirt lies in here. And she's sitting on what? Some kind of a log step, right? With some bricks underneath. So we can kind of indicate where she's sitting, and that gives her some stability. You know, she doesn't look like she's floating in the air. So we have a place for her to sit. Okay, so we can develop, you know, we kind of have everything going here. Well, we could do these feet a little more. You know, where are these strap things for her little tying her shoes on? You know, so we can add some of that stuff. But we can go back in and adjust, or we can do this face, right? We have, if this is the front of the face, we have the eye somewhere here, right? That's halfway. Is that looking down too much? Yeah. We want it to look up. And narrow the nose, somewhere here. Mouth, right? And we can just draw a generic mouth. We don't have to have it exactly like what we have. See there? When we have this ear, let's try to draw that ear behind that line. And we have all these little shadow shapes that happen in the ear. Oh, how about this hair? We can put some of this hair in, right? And that makes it look a little better. All of a sudden, she's alive. And round that nose off, because you know, we always start out with that L shape, but still, and round that off. Add a few shadows. Where's the shadows? Very light shadows here. Very light shadows in this cheek. And we can just start building this figure. So adding these shadows, trying to, this doesn't look right. You know, adjusting this contour line. Just a little rough here. Not perfect, but that's okay. I'm not worried about being perfect. This is my impression of the reference photo. So I'm just looking at all these different parts. Oops, and she's got all these fluffy things that go off in the distance, way over here. Right? And these all make little triangle things, and she's got all these other things that are coming up off the face over here. So we can start developing this as a drawing and start adding shadows, which is going to make it all of a sudden look more three-dimensional. We can start developing, like this hand needs a lot more work. I should develop that a little more. You know, how is this going to sit underneath here? There's a kind of shadow underneath here, right? The thumb is behind. You know, so all of a sudden that looks a little better. You know, so we start developing some of these things. But when you go to draw this, the big thing is the joints. Figuring out where those lie. If you get those really close to being in the right spot, the rest of this becomes easy. It's just a matter of drawing this contour line. Well, I gave her really big muscles here. Let's flatten that out a little more. Redrawing that contour line to make it look like the bone and muscle structure in relationship to the reference photo. You know, how does this all look underneath here? You know, so we're just trying to add all these different parts. Getting the joints, drawing this helps. Remember, if you have a square reference photo and you have a rectangle paper, you want to try to make your square paper to be similar to that. It doesn't matter if you're longer on the top or bottom, that's fine. It's just you have to account for this being square, this being rectangle. And then it's just a matter of looking for all of these parts and start drawing them in. And start doing your cross hatching. Remember, the cross hatching forces you to develop that sensitivity to seeing what you're looking at. And it's just a matter of practice. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. The big thing is relationships into how big the head is. Remember, we decided how big that head was going to be. And then the distance from here to the center line down. Now, if you have a standing figure, it's going to be a little bit different. But remember, you're making these measurements where these joints are going to be. And then it's just a matter of adding all of these parts. You know, we can add more, develop more stuff on the ground here. Oh, we didn't really do this foot here, but you know, it's just we can start working on developing that a little more. You know, this leg has straps too. So we can just start working on some of those other straps. So we have the figure. Don't worry about if some of your figures aren't perfect. They're not going to be perfect starting out, okay? This takes practice. This is the ultimate. If you can draw the figure, you can draw anything. This forces you to get good fast. You could draw daisies to your heart, till you die, but never get better at drawing. This forces you to get better at drawing. So that's the goal here, is forcing you to be able to see what you're looking at and draw it in reference to proportions and in reference to relationships. You know, how all these other parts are related to where the head is. So have fun drawing. You can do this.